The average person in the UK has £11,185 in savings. However, 46% of Brits have less than £1,000 saved. Okay, so how much cash savings puts you in the top 1%? In this episode, we're going to be breaking it down from data that's been researched, and I've put it into categories. We're going to be looking at savings by age, we're going to be looking at savings statistics, and then we're going to be looking at how much should you have, and then we're going to finish off with reaching a conclusion on the episode. Savings by age. We're going to be looking at average savings and age group. We're also going to be comparing the United Kingdom to the USA. So, age and average savings. Where do you stand in the category for the United Kingdom? So starting off, if you're between 18 and 24 years old, you should have or expected average savings of £3,636. 25 to 34, it's £3,748. 35 to 44 years old, it's £6,751. And at 45 to 54 years old, we see a jump to £14,591. And then at 55 to 73 years old, the average savings is £18,425. Now, in my opinion, before I researched and drafted for this episode, I must say, I expected those figures to be higher. But I guess what we're looking at here is an average database of research that's been done. Now, I think something to mention here would be there's definitely a lot of people with hardly any savings, and there's a fine category of people with an awful lot of savings, and that could potentially be making this average seem lower than it might generically be. But moving on to the USA, looking at age again and average savings. If you're under 35 years old, it's expected that the average savings amount is $20,540. Between 35 and 44 years old, it's $41,540. For 45 to 54, it's $71,130. And for 55 to 64, it's $72,520. And for 65 to 74, it's $100,250. And then at 75 years old, we go back down to $82,800. Now, of course, why would we see bigger average savings from the USA compared to the United Kingdom? Well, essentially the United States economy is far greater, far larger, and it's just slightly better at the moment than the UK economy. So it's understandable that US citizens have an averagely higher amount of savings. But those figures are interesting nonetheless. I think it's about right for what I would expect for the USA. However, for the United Kingdom, I would say those average savings are probably lower than what I expected. I mean, just looking at the category between 25 and 34, for me, that's a real age of entrepreneurship where people are becoming successful, having their own business. To see that the average savings is only £3,748, that's much lower than I anticipated. So let's take a look at savings statistics. Let's see how the analytical data also provides some evidence to what percent you're in as a saver. Okay, so these figures I will say are again for the United Kingdom, but you can kind of get the idea across the board being for the USA as well. 68% of Brits have some savings, 46% have less than £1,000 saved. 25% have less than £200 saved, and 1 in 16 people in the United Kingdom have no savings at all. That equates to around 8.7 million people with no savings. Now, I am going to make an exception to the rule here. If you're watching this episode, the chances are you're trying to become better with your finances. Maybe you're trying to better your financial intelligence, or maybe you're already doing very well. Maybe you're already invested in index funds, commodities, crypto, or property. Maybe you're already doing very well, but you're interested to see what those average savings are. For me, though, I think it's very interesting that these sort of research databases are saying that, 8.7 million people in the UK have no savings. And I can believe that to a degree, because at the end of the day, there is a great discrepancy between the vast amount of wealth, in the top 1% of earners, and the lower percentage of people who are the lowest earners. And there's a big gap there between those two bands. Now, how much should you save? How much should you have saved? Well, there's lots of ways to look at this. You could really break it down into multiple systems. But for me, I've written down a few to try and break this down because it's a very broad question. Now, a good rule, in my opinion, is to have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. Now, I like to call that a war chest. You may have heard me talking about it before, but I like to develop a war chest. And a war chest is essentially an emergency fund, separate from your savings, maybe your investment funds. A war chest is a rainy day fund. You've allocated into a pot in the corner, and that's for rainy day funds. Maybe an emergency like the boiler or the car breaks down. And they do say that a good rule is to have between 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up. And you can understand why, because if something was to happen to the company you work at or you were to lose your job, you want to be sure that you've got 3 to 6 months of bills essentially and living costs behind you, so that gives you time to find another source of income. And I think personally it's a very, very wise thing to do. You could use the 50-30-20 rule. Lloyds Bank recommends this, and basically the 50-30-20 rule is putting 50% of the money in your bills, 30% into wants, and 20% into investments. Now, some people, if you're more experienced, let's say in finances, and you're very good with money, you can definitely change those percentages to suit you more. But as a generic rule, I think for the average Joe, the 50-30-20 rule can work very well, paying into your bills, your wants, and your investments. In my opinion, categorizing your bank account and segregating, your bills, your allowance account, your savings account, your investment account, maybe even a holiday fund, that really helps you save. And also, it's all relative to you. I can't really give you a figure of how much you should save because it depends on your own personal circumstances, your goals, your plans. You need to sit down and work out, what do you want? How are you going to achieve it? How long is it going to take you? And how are you going to start saving that money? And that's the honest answer I think I can give. It's all relative to you. So in conclusion, a wise person should have money in their head, but not in their heart. Comparison is the thief of joy. So set your own goals and your own plans. Try not to get too distracted by online social media and what other people perceive to have. It's your own personal goals and it's relative to your own circumstances. But by that, be consistent. Set your goals, set your plans, and if you're thinking it's too late for you to start saving and investing, let me say this. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And I often get questions all the time relatively about gold bullion. Should I buy gold now or is it too expensive? And I always reply with the same thing. Yes, gold is expensive, but if it's expensive now, imagine what it could be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You'll certainly wish, if it keeps going the way it is, that you invested now. So try not to time the market, try and spend time in the market and save some and invest the rest. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been my video on are you in the top % of savings. We've looked at the averages by age and the average savings amount. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been helpful for you. Please let me know in the comment section below if you've enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing your comments and let me know what your thoughts are on the average savings for the UK and the USA. Until next time, I'll see you all in the very next episode. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Well, thank you very much for watching until the end of the episode. And for that, I wanted to let you in on a cheeky little look. Now, these stunning copper bullion rounds, they're going to be given away here on the channel at Future Investments. These are alien coins from Cardiff Gold. One of them is They Are Here and the other is We'll Be Back. They're stunning alien coins and I think 4 bullion pieces, they're very, very attractive. Now, how can you win these elusive copper bullion coins? Well, all you've got to do is click the link in the description below or the join button. If you're watching on a laptop or an iPad, you can become a premium future investor. Not only do you get exclusive behind the scenes content and videos for members only, but your YouTube channels get linked in every single video description. Not only that, but on the 15th of every single month, I do members only giveaways for premium future investor members. We have actually had our last winner win for the 4th time. So, could it be you this month? Well, all you've got to do is click the join button and you could be taking home some of these stunning copper bullion coins all the way to you.